I told him, if you make enough money, whether you make enough money or you don't, you're still going back to school to get that education. You see what I'm saying? So I know what you're saying. My mindset is still for education because there's
Well,
this thing.
education has, education you're talking about doesn't have to be where you have to go get a paper to say, hey, you have learned this. Let me tell you, it's 9% of Americans, 9% of Americans that have college degree, 9%, 22% college education. So what is the number? So the Nigerian chases education for paper. Okay, so they're like, oh, I'm something on the wall, I'm this and that. But effectively, they are not educated because if the education that he's talking about, has any relevance in the Nigeria, it should be able to help Nigerians solve their own national problems.
But that's where I go back to. Do you really, I'm one of those who don't really buy into, maybe I'm wrong because I go with this debate a lot on my WhatsApp groups. When people really want to shift the blame to the Nigerian kids, to the Nigerian youth, to Nigerians, I'm one of those that say, if you have a bad head, if the head is rotten, the body is gonna be gone. The body will be rotten because what
But it starts from the family. Let's not go to the governor. It starts from the family. It starts from the family. The head, the first part, the youth you're talking about, the child you're talking about. Somebody has to be a child, a youth, before they become anything. So I'm just saying, let's go back and look at the history, the genesis of these people. What families were they coming from? What sort of knowledge? What sort of interaction? Accountability and responsibility. We push our kids, go to school, get me a degree, do this. A lot of Nigerian kids don't have responsibility and accountability.
Thank you, Mr. Olakunle, for joining us. But yes, as I'm going on, Mr. Okpa, I know what you're saying, but I know that you're saying that, okay, what about the family and this, but and I'm not playing the devil's advocate now. This is what I strongly believe in. I think the leadership should be blamed. They destroyed everything.
I'm not avoiding the leadership. I'm just saying it's a two-way responsibility. Okay? It's a two-way responsibility. If you look at the battery of a car as a negative and as a positive, until you have those two things working in unison, you don't spark the battery, the car don't move. So what are the negatives and positives of Nigeria? Where do we begin to look at? I mean, the president gets 24 hours like everybody else. The governor gets 24 hours like everybody else. In fact, they're supposed to be the people that have the most rest so that they can think through what they're going to do that will impact the people. But the Nigerians have deferred it to them. Oh, my kid is not getting admission to a university. You call the governor, you call the vice president, you get admitted.
Because it's the system, Mr.
Because you enabled the system. We don't
have the structure that destroyed
No, you wrote the constitution. The Nigerians that wrote the constitution, they are not people that have elementary school.
No, the Nigerians were not involved in writing the constitution.
No. Who wrote it?
It was the military.
The military are still Nigerians.
Well, you know how that goes.
Let me tell you whether the Nigerian is in Agbada or uniform. It doesn't matter. It's a matter of putting off the clothes and putting another one. Obasanjo was there. Obasanjo was there as a uniform, as a military uniform.
But the man on the street has no power. At least, in Nigeria, they don't know.
We are afraid of imagined power before it even gets to the real ones. We cannot. Let me tell you, when I went to Enugu State one time, let me tell you, because, since 1999, I've been suggesting solutions to Nigeria. I will show you letters that I wrote to Abacha, then Chief of Army Staff, about military housing. I wrote it in 1989. I was not to be paid. When Nigerian banks were having problem, NDIC, I went home and I talked to the managing director. I said, I am doing this in America, the only Nigerian who, hey, how can I work with you guys? He was a Yoruba man who said, okay, fine, Igbo man, boom, they discharged me. So what I'm saying is, a lot of these things comes from the fact that the Nigerians don't know how to engage their own elected people. Whether it is a cultural thing, a traditional thing, they have not. So when I was in Enugu some years ago, I went to the Speaker of the House. I asked him the question. I said, do you guys have a rainy day account? Do you have a mandatory provision in your annual budget that you must set aside a percentage of the budget for rainy day or general fund? He said, well, keep talking. And finally he said, And the speaker was Eugene Odo. Okay, when I talk about people, I give names and dates. Eugene Odo was the speaker. And then you know what he said to me? He said, well, why should I save money? So that if I save, somebody else will come and chop it. And I'm sitting there saying, if I were to have such a discussion with an elected official in Texas, in US, they will say, hey, Mr. Opa, let's talk about it. Give me a concept. What are the costs and benefits? The Nigerians are quick to dismiss. Boom, he said, oh, no, that doesn't work. But if Enugu State, let me even give you a mathematical benefit. If any state government has said every year we have to save 1 or 2% of our state budget in a rainy day fund, you know what that would do for you? It will help you do your infrastructure. By now, a lot of Nigerian state government would have had an account that runs into the billion. They don't have accounts like that because this is a get and spend kind of culture. So we don't even listen to what can make what we are doing go longer.
Okay, Mr. Okpa. You know, you've been making, I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but I'm just having problems with the fact that we're trying to shift the blame to the oppressed.
Wait a minute. Everybody is the problem in Nigeria.
Wait a minute, Mr. Okpa. You, as brilliant as you are, and I'm not just saying this, like I said, I read a lot about, you know, I mean, from you, your articles, opinions, you know, even more than you know. But what I'm saying is this: Nigeria lost a brain like you. You could have had a state in the eastern part of Nigeria. You could have been an advisor to the president. Could have been an advisor to whoever you want to be an advisor to. I've had an opportunity of talking to you in the past about things that are going on in Nigeria, and I asked you, have you actually tried to to connect with people in power and all that? And you said, well, no. Then now you okay? Well, yeah. You said you have, but they won't listen. Sorry, my bad. But then you are here in America. Like millions of the brains, well, maybe not millions, hundreds of thousands, definitely, of the brains that are scattered all over the world from Nigeria. So they are frustrating the brains out of Nigeria. Number one, the problem is not the people. The problem is the structure. And the problem and the structure are the politicians. And the problem with the structure is corruption. So it's a trickle down effect, and it's so corrupt now. When the states were created in Nigeria, right? People left Western state when Ondo State was created, and it became 19 states. People left Western states, came to Akure, and you know, they were civil servants, and they did not steal. Some of them took loans to build their houses, took loans to buy their cars. So it's a systematic decline. Designed by the elites.
No, it's both by design and default. You know, there's this thing Igbo people say, and he said when a bad conduct is allowed to go on for a long time unchallenged, it becomes a tradition.
How could they have challenged it?
No. Look, I'm just saying the people that are doing these things to you are people you went to school with. They're your village man, they're your tribesman. Nigeria hasn't gotten to where, you know, especially in this political dispensation where, you know, an Igbo man who has lived in Lagos can become house member or a governor, or a Yoruba man who has lived in Sokoto can do that. We haven't gotten there because anytime you're going to do something, they're going to remind you your state of origin. Okay, so again, these are the problem. What I'm saying is that when people keep stepping on your toes, making you a doormat, how much deeper do you want to go in the ground? At what point do you say, okay, wait, this thing don't do too much? Instead, we have found a way by default to celebrate them and beg them and plead with them. Let me tell you,
they've been pauperized.
No. Look, my brother-in-law was the first military governor of Gombe State, 1996. My sister, the same mama, the same papa, who senior me, was the first lady. I went home and said, congratulations. Okay? That was an opportunity for me to be, you know, either go to Enugu State and become a commissioner or be recommended for something. I said, I don't like military government. I'm very vocal. I don't want to be in a meeting where a governor is celebrating party and salaries are not being paid. I'm going to say something and then it could jeopardize. I say, I left. I'm that kind of person. I never grew up a poor child, but I will never say that I'm the richest person. I never had a poverty mind. But what is happened? A lot of people, hey, GK, go home, it's your people. I said, no, I say in America, I have food on my table. After them, I will have food on my table before, because I earn money, I don't make money. A lot of Nigerians make money they have not earned. Okay? Because their person can be contractor, can be minister. I say, hey, I you go from a construction company, you got to do this. Of all the contracts Nigerians have been giving to themselves, how many giant construction companies have emerged? None. Because it's a transactional thing. Once the governor leaves and the minister, the next person is coming in to do same awarding to his or her own people. These are things that needs to be addressed. Nigerians know this. You go to Nigeria today, okay? Chinese people will come in. They get a contract and they bring their labor. The Nigerian Council of Engineers or the Nigerian Legal Council has never said, hey, wait a minute. We have this skill set. Why are you bringing China? Instead, the same people start running after the minister to beg for the Chinese to give them subcontract.
All right. Sorry. I like that. But the thing is this, right? I always say that it's back to corruption.
Yes.
Because a little bit closer to you because we couldn't hear you very well. But that's fine. So, but yeah, I would like to hear what your views are because this are so Mr. Okpa, I am of the strong belief that unless and until the old cargoes are eased out of power, and that constitution is rewritten.
Yes.
We are going to continue to have a lot of problems.
Look at it. I give you two. Who is going to do it? And how is it going to be done? Was it not during Jonathan they had a constitutional review, blah, blah, blah. I think, what is his name? Ekweremadu was part of all of that. What came out of it? So what I'm just saying, again, you can't just be letting bad things keep going so that they have become tradition. Nigeria have allowed bad things to continue that is become tradition. Stealing from the government. Corruption is not just only to Nigeria. Okay? You have corruption and then you also have incompetence. Okay? In America, we have corruption. But you're not going to have a contractor in America that will take public contract to build a road, build a substandard road, take the money and go to London to go live. It ain't going to happen. Even though they may have padded the contract, they may have gotten it in through means that you may say, oh, there's a corruption, but that road is going to be built. In the case of Nigeria, you can award the contract, you celebrate it, you get an inferior product, you get shoddy job, and the person vanishes. Okay, and Nigerians hail the person. They, oh my God, he's a big man. Oh, look at his house in the village. You look at his kids are in school abroad. That is a Nigerian mentality because every Nigerian is a thief in waiting. Let me just say this. Every Nigerian is a thief in waiting. He's waiting, hey, when is my turn going to come? So that I can do more than the man who just left. Because we haven't come to where we say, asking the critical questions. Question, Oga or Madam, where is this money coming from?